Hello and welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews.
I'm sat in the wrong seat.
And I'm Gary. And today we're going to review and discuss Killer Klowns from Outer Space, which came out in 1988. Iain, why don't you give us the synopsis for Killer Klowns?
Well, the story follows Debbie and Mike, who are at the top of the world making out when they see a strange comet fly into the woods. When they go to investigate it, they realize that there's a giant circus tent. But this isn't a normal circus. These are the killer clowns from outer space, and they have come to take over the town.
This film flew under the radar for me. It was you, Iain, actually, who gave me the VHS copy of the film, and I was flabbergasted at just the title of the film alone. I was like, what sort of absurd nonsense is this? I have to watch it just because of its ridiculous film title. And I was surprised. You know, I was amazed at the authenticity of the film production when you find out that they had a tiny budget and this film was made out of pure love for the genre, and it shows, filling in all of those horror tropes, but just adding in that slapstick twist to it without it being too overly comedic. It's so weird.
I saw this film when I was a kid, while other people were watching The Gate, and Flight of the Navigator and Batteries Not Included. I was lucky to watch Killer Klowns from Outer Space, and it just kind of blew me away. There was a lot of horror movies back in 1988, but come on, Killer Klowns from Outer Space. It says exactly what it is right off the bat. So you know what you're expecting. Killer Klowns. and like Gary said, it just does all of those familiar tropes. You've got the moody cop who doesn't like any of the teens. You've got the teens who hate all the police, and just want to party.
This film felt eerily familiar to, like I said, to a lot of classic horror movies.
Yes.
And it reminded me of The Blob
Yes.
from 1958, where it starts off with an old man and his dog seeing the meteor hit, and they're the first casualties. You have the police officer who hates all the kids. You have another police officer who doesn't believe what's going on. And the kids running around being picked off by, the clowns in this case. And that formula, it just works.
Yeah. I mean, written and directed by the Chiodo brothers.
Yeah.
These guys 2 years before had done all the special effects, the creature effects for Critters, which is another fucking 80s classic.
Well, they would go on to do the special effects for Critters 2, Critters 3, and Critters 4, and all the way up to Team America, World Police. Yeah. It's like, these guys are great.
Yeah. And that's it. I mean, like we said, the normal tropes are there. But it's when the clowns start turning up, that's when you really just start to get into the film, because the effects on the clowns are just mesmerizing. They've all got their own individuality. You can pick out one from another because he's taller, he's shorter, that one's fat, that one's butch looking. But they're just here to, how's it Officer Mooney put it? We just want to kill you all.
Don't worry, Dave. All we want to do is kill you.
Just like Peter Jackson with Brain Dead, these directors made all the costumes and the masks and the effects themselves in order to keep the budget way down. And it even, 30 years later, it still looks great.
Yeah. You've got Grant Cramer playing Mike Tobacco and Suzanne Snyder playing Debbie Stone as your main teens. Now, I don't really remember Grant from anything other than Killer Klowns, but I do recognise Suzanne from Return of the Living Dead Part 2.
That's right.
You've also got John Allen Nelson playing Sheriff Dave Hansen.
I remember him from Feast 3.
See, that's funny because I was just like, I've seen your face before, and it turned out that he was in an episode of Friends, and I was just like, that's kind of weird. And then you've got John Vernon playing Officer Curtis Mooney.
Classic actor.
Yeah. I primarily remember him from Airplane 2 as the psychiatrist for Stryker. But those are your actual main characters. You've also got the Terenzi brothers who drive around in a ice cream van, and they're just looking to get laid. So it's got just your teen comedy.
You know, when I was watching the film, I saw those two teams in the ice cream truck, and I was like, I think those are the directors of this film. It's them putting themselves in the film with replacement actors in a way.
See, what was it? 'Cause I don't think it was. Was it?
It's not, no, but
No.
it just felt like, those two were playing the brothers who directed the film, and it just, just the chemistry between the two of them just kind of feels like the chemistry between the actual directors.
Yeah.
Cool off those hot lips with our tasty, frozen, fruity bars, icy wicies, fudgy wudgy bars, and everyone's favorite frozen delight, the Lick-a-Stick.
The film, it just starts. It's just so brilliant. You've got that Killer Clowns from Outer Space theme tune playing over the credits.
That's it. How can you not be hooked?
Yeah. And then, like I said, you got Mike and Debbie. They're out. They're making out, and they see this shooting star fly past. Now, immediately, like I said, just like with the Blob, you're just like, don't go and investigate it. Something bad's there. But you see the old man and the dog, and he's just like, oh, it's Haley's coming. We're gonna be rich. And then you follow them go out to the circus tent, and it's just so comical. The way the clown turns up.
This was the moment in the film, first time watching and even second time watching, that I was just like, oh, this is awful. Like, the actor who plays the old man is so over the top. It is it is hammy and cheesy as sandwiches you can like. He pretty much looks to the camera when he's being electrocuted like, Thankfully, the rest of the film is nowhere near as, well, it's as cheesy, but it's not as gimmicky or stupid as this one moment.
But that's it. But it's like you said, reflecting back to the Blob, he's hamming it up because, he's going to get killed off in about 3 seconds.
We know, as the audience, of course.
So he's going to give this great death performance. What? And then you follow Mike and Debbie into the circus tent, and the visuals always get me, especially when they kind of walk into the engine room. I suppose it is, and you've got that classic old matte painting with I don't know, they're in the distance, and they're like, this isn't a normal tent, this isn't a normal circus. We should get out of here. No, let's investigate more. And I'm like, yeah, come on, let's investigate more. I love it when they walk into the storeroom with all the candy floss.
Yeah.
And it's partially empty when they go in, but later on in the film, when they go back in with the sheriff, it is jam packed with candy floss cocoons, and you're just like, that's pretty much the whole town wiped out. The candy floss, It encases your victim and stuns them or instantly kills them, but it drains them.
Well, I'm going to say, I think it instantly kills them because they get contorted into that small kind of shape. And I think they're instantly turned into a food source. Yeah. And I'm guessing the candy floss outside is a way of keeping it fresh for a long time.
Yeah. The relationship between Officer Mooney and Sheriff Dave does kind of make me laugh.
Well,
it's like what you said. Sheriff Dave he's trying to be the good guy, and he's always clashing with Officer Mooney, who looks like he's been on the force for a very long time, but he's never excelled himself enough to be able to be promoted. He's always getting himself into trouble, especially with the teens. I mean, there's that scene where he drags these two students into the police station, and he's giving them grief about drinking on campus. And they say to him, look, we live in this town, and we were just out looking for fun. And he starts giving them grief, and you just know that he's got himself into a trouble far too many times to excel himself. But Sheriff Dave, now he's a freaky character, because as the film will progress, it turns out that he's the ex-boyfriend to Debbie, and he's still kind of in love with her. And you're just like, it gets a bit creepy towards the end, especially with the whole way that he's touching Debbie at the end of the movie and kissing her. But before we get to the end, you know, Debbie and Mike have seen these dead bodies, and so they've raced back to the police station and they've told Sheriff Dave, and obviously he partially believes them because he doesn't feel like Debbie would lie to him. But then Officer Mooney's like, "Ooh, killer clowns, eh? Well, we best get the army involved. You know, you're just gonna buy into all this shit, are you, Dave?" And you're just like, "Mooney, we've seen what these things can do."
But it's just setting it up for later, especially when he turns to him and he says, "You'll not make a dummy out of me."
yeah.
Make a dummy out of yourself. But you're not gonna make a dummy out of me.
And then you've just got the clowns, you know, that cool little instrumental guitar piece as they walk up to the sign showing that the town's nearby, and there's quite a few of them. And then they just converge. There's that chemist scene.
That is one of my favourite sequences in the film, where the clown walks up and he sees like the gorilla suit, sort of electronic, sort of moving.
Yeah.
And he sees people coming, and he just puts his bag down and then just stands there and starts moving like robotically like the other thing. I'm just like, why did you do that? Are you is this the first human encounters you've met? Why don't you just pull out your ray gun and start blasting them now? Yeah. But instead they all go into the pharmacy and start shopping. Yeah. And then granted, then they blast the girls that went in there and just leave the chemist behind the counter just freaking out.
It's just all the funny things that they do. I mean, these aren't your atypical killers. They're not going to start pulling out knives and stabbing people and hooking them and ripping them to pieces. They do it in such comical ways. I mean, there's that point where they knock on the door and they're like, "Pizza," you know, and the girl opens up the door, and you've got that one clown, and the other two appear from the side, and then that last one appears from the box, and you're just like, what's going on? You know, the woman who opens the door, and he gives her a box of chocolates, and she's like, "Oh, is that for me?" And he just blasts her.
Yeah, it's quite ridiculous. There was a sequence planned for the opening of the film before the title even came up.
Yeah.
And it was used, I think, around the 40-minute mark of the film.
Okay.
And it's when the guy's driving the car around the hillside at night.
Yes, yeah.
And a clown comes driving along beside him. Yeah. I say driving, but he's not driving anything.
Yeah.
He has headlights on his feet. Or it's what I think the intention was.
Yeah.
Although in a couple of shots you can see that the headlights kind of mismatch and look like he's on his knees sometimes.
Yeah.
It was an effect that they tried to shoot in on a soundstage, and they looked at the results and it was horrible. And then they were going to ditch the entire segment from the film. And then they were like, "Oh, how about we try it and we build this rig, we'll attach it to the car, we'll get this to look, and we'll make it look dark." And they filmed it and it looked like shit. Yeah. And they were like, "Well, we're definitely scrapping this." And then the editor was like, No, I can salvage the scene from shots from both the takes and see what we get. And it does look ropey as hell.
Yeah.
But it gets the effect across. You know, it was only when after the film finished and I started slowing it down, and I was like, I want to watch that almost frame by frame just to see how it works. And, you know, just looking at a still image, it looks fine. But when it's in motion, it's like, ah. But then catastrophe struck the filmmakers again when the idea was to have this car go launching off the cliffside and go flying through the air before crashing underneath.
Yeah.
Yet when they only had the budget to do this take once.
Ooh.
One take only, you get at it. So they had the rope to pull the car. You know, they had sandbags in front of the wheels so that the car wouldn't roll before they were ready.
Yeah.
And as they were doing the shoot, they yanked on the cable, but nobody removed the sandbags, which snapped the cable from the car instantly and caused the car to bounce over the sandbags and just slowly roll. So the car just rolls off the side and then crashes into the tree and stops. And the filmmakers were devastated because they had this huge plan. And so the whole clown bit and the car bit just fucked up so badly that they just chucked it into the middle part of the film instead. And I'm glad it's still in there.
Yeah, because it does work. I mean, knowing all that information, looking at the scene, it's just so quick.
Yeah.
You know, they bash into each other, the car goes flying over the side, explodes, and the clown just stands there laughing. And you're just like, yeah, that's another person killed. But then hearing all that information about what they had to go through just to get that one sequence. And it's like all the other parts. I mean, they've got killer popcorn.
Now, this is something different entirely because, you know, we're looking at an alien species here that is a clown.
Yeah.
From our perspective.
Yeah.
So it makes you wonder where did the clown fear come from? Do you think like human fear of clowns in this universe might have evolved from actual invasions from a clown alien species?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, abductions by alien clowns, and we just remember them as greys. It's just an idea because it's just, you know, then you just have to go, well, how about you just look at all of the endless possibilities of what alien life could be?
Yeah.
And just think that one alien species could be just like clowns from Earth. But then you have to look at these clowns and go, well, are they asexual? Do they have females?
Yeah, well, they do, because we see 2 females turn up towards the end of the film.
Well, are they? Are they females? Because there's no way of really knowing. Because it's like in Gremlins, you know, and you have that one female. But is it a female gremlin?
Yeah.
Is it not just a male gremlin just dressed up? Because as you said with the female clowns, they have balloon boobs. And as soon as the men land in the ball pool, they just inflate them just to get them excited. And it's just... I don't know. And then another theory is because you see the clowns, they turn everyone into candy floss.
Yes, yes.
But the women, they like to put them into balloons and take them away.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, it's like, are the clowns taking these women away as, I don't know, entertainment, to put them in a circus?
Right.
You know, sort of thing?
Yeah.
Are they taking these women for breeding? Or are they taking these women to do experiments on? Or are they... I don't know. It's never actually explained.
See, now you're worrying me now, because I'm usually the one who does this, who just makes up weird theories about movies. And I didn't even think of any of this. And you've sat there watching Killer Clowns from Outer Space, questioning if the women captured are being used for sexual orgies of the Killer Clowns.
Well, then you brought up the popcorn, and it looks like the popcorn grows into killer clowns. Now,
Yes, mini piranha Killer Clowns.
So
yeah.
it's like, well, how do they make the popcorn that grows into clowns? Do they turn people into clowns through the popcorn? I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's it. Because obviously we see that guy. Well, we see the clown go out and he drops the popcorn into the bin, and then the guy comes out, chucks the rubbish in there, looks inside the bin, and he's immediately pulled inside. And it's the same when Debbie goes home. She's got popcorn all over her clothes from her encounter with the clowns, and while she's in the shower, the popcorn evolves. But it evolves to the point where it can go anywhere. You know, it climbs out of
Very slowly.
Yeah, it climbs out of her clothes basket. It comes out. 2 of them come out with the mirror. So are they in the walls? One of them climbs out the toilet. So I'm assuming popcorn must have gone into the toilet, changed, and then came back out as a giant. I don't know. I don't see it like that. I'm just like the popcorn turns into clowns.
But I don't know whether it turns into full clowns or whether those tadpole type clowns sort of flesh out, or whether they turn into something like we see in the spaceship tent when they go down the sliding pole.
Yeah.
And there's a fucking monster at the bottom of the pole. Yeah. I'm like, what the fuck is that?
I like that bit. It's just like, why'd you stop? That's why we stopped.
That's a good reason.
Yeah.
There's so many things that go unanswered or unexplained, but that's not what this film's about. It's just there for you to wonder about.
Yeah.
Police station, Mooney here. What? Oh, they took your wife away in a balloon? Well, you don't need a police pal, you need a psychiatrist.
So one of my other favourite scenes in the film is when they're trying to find the clowns. The cop still doesn't believe what's going on, and they speed round the corner, and the clown is doing shadow puppets on the wall for old people. And they're waiting for a bus, I imagine.
Oh, God.
And the old woman's just like, oh, look, it's a clown. Oh, wow, look at those amazing shadows. And you're looking at the clown's fingers, and you're like, what? He's not doing that. But it looks great. And I'm just like, so these clowns have got some advanced technology, which, of course, just turns into circus sideshows.
Yeah, yeah.
But then that circus sideshow devours all of the pedestrians on the side, and he puts them all in his bag to feed to the bag of popcorn.
Holy shit!
Believe it.
It's just great. It's like it doesn't explain how the shadow came off the wall and you managed to pick them up, but
It doesn't matter. That image stuck with me.
Oh, yeah.
From when I was a kid. I remember growing up after I'd seen the film for years. I had this image in my head of this clown devouring people at a bus stop, and my friends in school were like, "You're crazy. There has never been a film like that." And I'm like, "I'm fucking telling you, there is a film out there." And, when Gary said we've been requested to do Killer Clowns from Outer Space, I was like, fucking hell yes! I know there's other people out there. I'm not just the only one.
well, that's it. This film now has a massive cult following. When the film came out, it didn't do particularly well.
No.
It was the merchandising that came afterwards, when it was T-shirts and hoodies and masks and figures and collectibles. And even up to today, this film still has huge cult following, which is why everyone is still waiting for its sequel.
Oh, fucking hell yeah.
This sequel has been in development hell for like 10 years. The music, the guy who did the music for the film, he did a great job.
Yeah.
I think the music is great when it reminds you of the cheeseball factor of the film from the opening title.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, when the March of the Clowns are moving through the city,
Yes.
that dark music is playing, but it has light moments to it. But the film composer took this film seriously. He treated this like it was a AAA horror movie.
Yes.
And so the contrapuntal nature of his music to the visuals of the film is just fantastic. And he is the guy who's gone on to say that, yes, I've re-recorded the music for the film with a full orchestra.
Oh, really?
And granted, it sounds epic, but doesn't necessarily fit the synth style music that belongs to this film.
Yes.
If you put an orchestra to Killer Clowns from Outer Space, it doesn't work. It really doesn't work. It might for some of you, but for me, it doesn't quite work. And so he has said that, yes, we're still working on the return from Killer Clowns from Outer Space in 3D.
Nice.
Whether it actually comes to fruition or not was still yet to be seen.
I suppose orchestra music, though, you could listen to it on its own.
Oh, yes.
Trying to put it with the film. Like you said, this film has got is based in the 80s. From their clothes, from the acting, from the backdrops, from the clowns itself. It is just predominantly 80s, and we'll never lose that. You can watch this film on VHS or Blu-ray DVD, but you're watching, a 1988 horror movie. It's time for me. It's timeless, but it's like you said, like that whole bit where you've got the clowns marching down the road. You got Mike has finally got with the Ice Cream Brothers, and they're driving down the street. It looks like Los Angeles. I don't know, but they're driving down the street, and you can see all the people going in the shops. Nighttime cars are driving past, and you're just like, well, where are the clowns? This town's massive. The clowns can't be hiding somewhere. And they literally turn a corner, and the clowns are just wiping out this neighborhood.
Door to door. Just throwing the candy floss out the window, just ready to be vacuumed up by this killer clown car vehicle thing.
And you're just like, how did those people on that other road not notice that these clowns were, kidnapping people, or
maybe they've already been taken.
That's it. But Debbie as well, she's had her incident with the killer popcorn, and the clowns turn up at her door pretending to be Mike. That bit always freaks me out because you hear Mike, Mike's voice.
Debbie, it's Mike. Open up.
Mike?
Debbie.
The thing with these, go back to these clowns as aliens again, it made me think of the Men in Black.
Yeah.
You have the little tiny alien who sits inside the face or the head of its host.
Yeah.
Because when you see these clowns laughing, their lips and mouth all move.
Yeah.
But when they talk or make noises, their mouths don't move at all, and it's almost like it's coming from within them.
It kind of reminded me of Predator.
Yeah.
like a mimic cry.
But when they do talk to each other, it distinctly has that sound. But when they mimic a human voice, and they only do it the once in the film, I was just like, they don't do that again. But I love the sequence after she's been tricked at the door when she goes running upstairs and goes to jump out the window. And all the clowns are down there all ready for her. I was just like, that is priceless. That is just the ingenuity and brilliance of these filmmakers just to get a gag like that, which is only a few seconds to work.
Yeah. I always get creeped out by the sequence at the burger bar.
Yes.
When the clown's outside and he lures this little girl to come outside and nobody else seems to see the clown except her, and she starts walking up towards the door, and you cut to the clown and he's got this giant hammer behind his back, and you're thinking, what the fuck's he gonna do? Is he gonna
I know exactly what he's
smash
gonna do
her
with
brains
that.
in like right there? But you don't know, because you think, yeah, he's gonna smash her brains in, but you know, with all the other things that we'd seen, they'd all been kind of weirdly fun. You know, the popcorn, the candy floss, you know, just pies and things like that. So would this hammer squirt water at her and it would be acid and she'd
I
melt?
don't know, I'd imagine he'd strike the ground at her feet and she'd go flying off like the bell.
Yeah. But she gets stopped by her mum.
Yeah.
And she gets pulled away. But the clown's reaction is like pure anger. And it was only until recently where I thought, actually, he's probably just walked right into that place and then just wiped them all out anyway with the candy
Probably,
floss.
yeah.
So it doesn't matter if he got the kid or not. He got her out.
He was looking for some fun.
We cut back to the police station a few times, and Officer Mooney's hearing all the reports come in of people being attacked by clowns, and he is totally not buying it. He's just like, nope, I'm not buying it. You're not making a fool out of me. And then the clown walks into the police station. I named all the clowns.
Okay.
I did actually name all the clowns. You've got Pinky, who's just got pink hair. Then you've got Fatso, who's just fat. Red, who's the kind of tall, lanky one with the red hair. Shorty, he's short. You've got Spikes, who's the one I recognise as the one who's doing the driving, and then he
Right.
does the hand puppets. He's got like 3 little red spikes along the top of his head. And then you've got Butch. Now, Butch is the one who walks into the police station and attacks Officer Mooney. But when he's killed off by Dave, they replace him with one that looks like him, but he's got a mohawk, a yellow mohawk. So he goes from Butch to mohawk. And I love the fact that all the clowns kind of look the same. It's just every now and again they'll change the hair or they'll
Yeah.
change the outfit. And then there's obviously the last sequence, you've got just loads of clowns. Some with makeup that looks really, really good, and then some that look like they've just kind of thrown it on to make mass. But Butch walks into the police station, and his part with Mooney, it's silly and creepy at the same time, because Mooney's just like trying to be all tough, and the clown's just taking the piss out of him. He squirts water in his face from the flowers. His hands come off from the handcuffs, and then Mooney tries to get one up on him when he puts him into the cell, and he whacks him in the back of the head with his torch, and the clown's head turns and he kind of growls, and you're like, you've pissed him off now. And it's that little party blower.
Yeah.
He just kind of blows out and grabs Mooney by the throat.
knocks him out by dragging him into the metal bars.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And, you know, when we come back to the station and we find that the clown has turned Officer Mooney into a dummy.
Hey, Dan. Who was the lady I saw you with last night?
You know, and it almost seems a little bit awkward because John Vernon is like, he's such a classical actor. Yeah, him playing this dummy, it's just, you know, with the painted up cheeks.
Yeah,
I just couldn't look at him right. I was like, this is just wrong. So wrong.
It is wrong, but for me it's creepy because those little red lines down the side of the mouth, it's obviously blood. But it's the way that the clown pulls his hand out of his back, and then kind of he does that flick, and you just hear blood and gore just kind of slap the floor, and then the body hit the floor, and then they have their kind of little fight sequence. It's not really a fight sequence.
No, because he kind of shoots the clown right in the face. Well, more accurately, right on the nose. And then he explodes into like green light and confetti. I'm like, oh my god, it's that easy?
Yes.
Kill a clown?
Yes.
You just bop it on the nose.
Yeah, well, you've got to pop it. You've really got to pop its nose. But you got to remember, these guys have got ray guns that can hit you from far away. You know, they've got all these different tricks to distract you. So unless you really know that it's a killer clown and you know to aim for its nose.
Yeah, that's the thing, because often or not you'd think, first time encounter, if you ever saw one of these things, you'd be so dumbfounded by the actual appearance of it that, you know, you wouldn't necessarily consider it intimidating or threatening, especially with its slow, dumb looking nature.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, it sort of tricks you with its weaponry, and it's too late.
That's it. It's too late, and you're already candy floss.
Can I take a ride, pal? Can I beep the horn? oh, thank you! Should have let the man ride his bike.
Coming to the end of the film, you know, the sheriff realizes there's killer clowns all over the place. He's called in the National Guard. Mike and the Ice Cream Brothers have realized Debbie has been kidnapped in a balloon, and they chase the clowns to the local amusement park, which is kind of coincidental. If you were a clown, where would you hide? Kind of thing. But that sequence with the security guard, oh my god, it's another classic scene.
Hey boys, what are you going to do with those pies?
What are you going to do with those pies, boys?
Ask a stupid question, get a pie in the face. I love it, the clown who brings the giant cherry out and puts it on top. It's just like, brilliant, just brilliant.
And you go into the crazy fun house. Now, I've been in a lot of fun houses, but this one has to be the fucking creepiest. Because you've got all those weird dinosaur cutouts at first. And then, like you said, the brothers, they just end up disappearing, fall into a ball pool with the two male clowns with inflatable boobs. And I questioned it as well, because you had Mike and Dave get into the storeroom. And so they're looking for Debbie. And I was sitting there trying to remember. I'm thinking, why don't they rescue everybody else? Because I know at the end of the film, it's only these three and the brothers that survive. So why don't they try to rescue anybody else?
Well, they didn't have time. They
That's
were
it.
as soon as they found Debbie, the clowns were on them.
Yes.
So they ran.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm still like, you could have saved a couple more people.
You could just a few, and they would have been cannon fodder.
There might be other people still alive in these balloons. Come on, it's too late.
And they try to fight with the clowns, but there's just so many of them.
Well, he goes running from them, and he soon runs out of ammo.
Yes.
And so, yeah, and then they end up running away. And so, yeah, the brothers crash through the wall in their ice cream truck and talk to the clowns, telling them that their overlord is displeased with them and to let them go. And it appears like the clowns are listening.
Yeah.
Until you then realise that they've actually just summoned Clown-zilla.
What the hell is that?
I don't want to play here anymore. Can we go home now?
And it made me think that all the stuff that the Killer Clowns do is actually for him. You know, they do all this stuff to feed him, to keep him alive. He's probably the main clown. Maybe he births them like the Alien Queen. I'm not entirely sure. I'm thinking too far now. But you know, he grabs the ice cream truck, he throws it against the wall, it explodes, and you're just like, no, the brothers are dead. They're not. And like I said, there's that. It plays on the relationship of Debbie, Mike, and Dave, because all the way through the chase sequence, which has got to be one of the greatest killer clown chase sequences in film. I don't think there's many, but you know, this one's definitely the best. He's got Debbie's hand and he's dragging her, and I'm just like, yes, you've just rescued her, but she has told Mike in the movie that she's in love with him, and that she doesn't want to be with you anymore. So if you're trying to use that whole "I rescued you, I'm the hero" kind of attribute, it's not going to work. Or if it does work, I feel really bad for Mike because he's got to stand there and watch you make out with his girlfriend.
Yeah, I thought it was weird too. I was looking at Mike and his girlfriend is sort of being rescued by the cop, and it was like, seems awkward. It's like it's at this point in the film where the film will probably kill you off.
Yes.
But thankfully it doesn't.
Yeah.
So I was like, great, at least it's not going to fall into that horrible trope.
Yeah, because the sheriff turns to Mike and Debbie and he's just like, right, get out. You take Debbie and get out. And Debbie's like, no, I can't leave. And he starts to fight Clown-zilla. And Jojo-zilla picks up the sheriff and he just pops his nose with his sheriff badge.
Simple as that.
And the whole thing explodes.
But the whole spaceship explodes. I was like, so it's not only, Clown-zilla's weak spot, it's actually the self-destruct button for the whole ship as well.
Yeah.
But then we see the killer clown car fall from the sky and hit the ground.
Yes.
And Sheriff Dave gets out. He's like, yeah, I made it. And you're like, well, it's kind of silly enough film. I can allow him to make it out. He did all right.
Yeah.
And then the brothers climb out and they explain that they hid in the freezer with the ice cream. Yeah. You're like, that's bullshit, but it's fine.
Yeah.
But I thought it was cool that at least all the other police officers turned up and saw that thing explode.
Yes. Yeah.
So that at least that everyone's not going to believe that they're crazy. But then again, half the town is missing.
That's it.
So...
That's it. All those people in the cocoons, even though we assume they were already dead, are definitely fucking dead now. But the film ends on such a funny gag as well, because they're stood there just looking around at all the glitter like, oh, it's over. And like I said, it's kind of awkward because Dave's got his hands on Debbie and he gives her a kiss on the back of the head like, yes, I can try and get back with you. And I'm just like, Mike is like right there.
Do you think it's over?
Yeah, sure.
Are the clowns still alive? Are the clowns still there? Did they get rid of the popcorn clowns? Is this just a gag that never really happened? Were the police officers actually clowns and they pied them?
Fuck those.
I think it's just a gag thrown in at the end of the film.
Yeah,
and who knows? Who knows?
I've got like the whole film as a favourite scene, but particular ones I really enjoy. I love the acid pies on the security guard. It's like, it's that line, his line is just absolutely brilliant. It's up there with I'll Be Back with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Mooney, his interaction with the clown when it comes into the police station, and then obviously the subsequent killing of him and turning him into a dummy. It's really funny, but then it's creepy at the same time, especially when he becomes the dummy. I love the shadow puppet. Brilliant special effect. The way the T-Rex kind of comes off the wall, picks them up, and they're gone. Absolutely brilliant. I love, as well, the sit-up at the beginning after Mike and Debbie have driven off, and they've knocked a couple of clowns over. And then you see that one appear up in the camera, and then one in the background just kind of sits up, reminiscent to Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees, and you're just like, oh, that's creepy. But my all-time favorite fucking scene in a movie ever will always stick with me. It's the sequence where the little shorty clown comes up to the bikers, and this butch biker walks over and he wants to mess around with the clown's bike and he smashes it up, and I'm just like, oh, you fucking pissed off that clown now. You don't know what you've done. And the clown leaps off and then comes back with boxing gloves, and the guy just kind of looks at him and says, what are you gonna do? Knock my block off? And the clown fucking punches his head off.
What are you gonna do?
Knock my block off.
Yes.
Yeah, it is utterly ridiculous. But it works. It's at the same time you see all those bikers just like go running off, and I was like, that clown should have been torn to shreds by those bikers, and they shit themselves and run. Yeah. We've already mentioned all of my favourite scenes. The shadow puppets, the popcorn clowns. the clown car, the invisible clown car, them waiting outside her window.
Yeah.
Just, there's so many great moments in the film, and I have to recommend it. You know, this is a film that you must have heard of, if not already seen by now, and if you haven't, watch it. You have to watch it. If you're a fan of the horror genre, mixed with comedy, mixed with absurdism. Yes, granted, the first 10 minutes are really difficult to get through, because that was when it was at its silliest.
Right.
I think, in terms of just... It takes you just that long, I think, just to get over the hump of believing what you're seeing.
Yeah.
And then you're just taken on this wild ride throughout the rest of the film. And it's only, 80-odd minutes?
Yeah.
It's not a very long film. I think it's interesting that there's a couple of deleted scenes, and in the commentary you can hear the directors arguing about why they deleted scenes. And they're like, well, we needed to, shorten the movie down. The other one's like, well, the movie's already too short, so why remove scenes? And there were scenes where Debbie explained she had a natural fear of clowns.
Right, yeah.
Before this began, where she had a horrible incident in a circus. And there was another deleted scene, which was more of an extended sequence when they're being chased through the spaceship.
Yeah.
And they're walking along a tightrope. And then the tightrope goes upstairs before they can get to another door. Get the Blu-ray. Listen to the commentary. Watch the deleted scenes. See this film restored in high definition.
Yeah.
And then share it with other people that may not have heard of it. Because this film deserves all the love and attention it gets. Just because the filmmakers and the crew, this is a labour of love for them. I can't ask for much more when watching a film, when its filmmakers believe and it's a passion project.
Yeah.
Totally recommend Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Yeah, definitely recommend Killer Clowns from Outer Space. If you've seen it, you're probably like me. You own it on VHS or DVD and you watch it subsequently every now and again just for a laugh. If you've never seen it, get it. If you love 80s horror movies, it's right up there. Like I said, with Critters or the remake Blob that came out. I think it came out the same year. The remake Blob. It's just fun. If you're sat there as well, I'm just gonna say this. If you're sat there as well looking at this film thinking, nah, I'm not gonna watch it. It looks absolutely shit. I bring up the quote of Captain Spaulding from The Devil's Rejects. What's the matter? Don't you like clowns? Don't we make you fucking laugh? You better have a good fucking reason why you don't like fucking clowns. Or I'm going to come back and I'm going to kill your whole fucking family.
Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.
Everybody's going for the likes of the killer clowns from outer space. Killer clown, wow, 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 ooh, from outer space. Chaco from outer space.
What are you gonna do? Knock my block off?